Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Yeah.
And today we're going to be looking at Josh Groban.
All right.
So you know the guy.
Yeah.
You raised me up.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got this podcast episode here titled The Unstoppable Rise of Josh Groban.
Wow.
And I'm really curious to see, like, what kind of nuggets we can pull out of this.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he seems like such a
kind of a known thing.
well-known figure. Like,
Yeah.
what else is there to know?
Right.
But I'm sure there are some interesting things here.
Absolutely. Even for someone as seemingly, familiar as Josh Groban, there's always more to discover, especially when you consider the nuances of his vocal technique and how he's really kind of bridged the gap between classical training and mainstream pop success.
And that's a good point.
Yeah.
Like, when I think about his voice, I always think, like, it's not just the power.
Right.
It's like this like you feel something when he sings.
It's true. Yeah, there's a vulnerability, there's a sincerity in his delivery that connects with listeners on an emotional level. It's almost as if he's inviting you into his world, sharing those moments of joy, sorrow, and everything in between.
So, all right, let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
We know he was born in L.A. in 1981, but the podcast episode mentioned that he was actually a pretty shy kid.
Oh, wow.
So how did this shy kid from L.A. end up captivating audiences worldwide?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? His parents, they exposed him to a wide variety of music. And while he found solace in singing, his early passion was actually theater. It wasn't until he attended the Los Angeles County High School for the Arts that his vocal talent became impossible to ignore.
So it sounds like that high school experience was a real turning point.
Yeah, it seems so.
For him.
Yeah.
What happened? Like, did his teachers recognize something?
They encouraged
his voice.
him to pursue classical and operatic training. And it was during this time that his, truly remarkable vocal range started to develop.
Okay, so we have this shy kid who discovers this incredible voice, but then he crosses paths with David Foster.
Right.
So for anyone who might not know, remind us who David Foster is.
He's only like a legend.
And why this meeting was so significant.
He's a legendary music producer. I mean, think Celine Dion.
Oh, yeah.
Whitney Houston, Andrea Bocelli.
Huge names.
He's the mastermind behind some of the biggest voices in music. So to have him recognize Groban's talent at just 17 years old is a monumental event.
And the podcast episode said that Foster described Groban's voice as something special, a voice that could stop time.
That's high praise.
Yeah, that's pretty high praise.
Yeah.
So what was it about Groban's voice that struck Foster so profoundly?
Well, it's hard to say for sure, but I think Foster heard that same raw emotion, that unique ability to convey feeling through music that we were talking about.
Yeah.
It's that intangible quality that separates, good singers from truly captivating performers.
So this meeting leads to Groban's first big break.
Yeah.
The California governor's inauguration in 1999. I mean, that must have been nerve-wracking for such a young artist.
It was, but it also demonstrated his composure and stage presence.
Oh.
Even at that young age, singing All I Ask of You. For such a large audience, it really showed Foster that Groban had the potential to be a star.
Then comes the almost too good to be true story.
Right.
About the 1999 Grammys and Andrea Bocelli.
Oh, yeah.
So remind us what happened there.
Well, Bocelli fell ill and couldn't rehearse for his Grammy performance.
Okay.
So Foster, already impressed by Groban, took a chance.
Yeah.
And asked him to fill in and rehearse with Celine Dion.
So at 17, he's suddenly singing with Celine Dion.
It's incredible, isn't it?
That's wild.
It's a testament to both Foster's faith in Groban and Groban's own ability to rise to the occasion. Imagine the pressure of stepping in for someone like Bocelli.
Right.
But Groban handled it with grace and talent.
So while he didn't actually perform live at the Grammys, this experience must have been huge for his confidence. And it also exposed him to some major players in the industry.
Right.
Which ultimately led to him signing with Warner Bros. Records.
Yeah, precisely that Grammy rehearsal, though, unexpected, opened doors and solidified the fact that, Groban wasn't just a talented kid with a good voice.
Yeah.
He was an emerging artist with the potential for a remarkable career.
Expert speaker.
And that's what happened in 2001.
Yeah.
At the age of 20. He released his self-titled debut album.
Yeah, which, I mean, it had some bangers on it.
Oh, yeah.
So Where You Are is still one of my favorites.
It's a beautiful song, and that album as a whole achieved double platinum status in the U.S.
Wow.
For a debut artist. That signifies a massive level of success.
What does that mean? Like,
it means over 2 million copies were sold.
Oh, wow.
Placing Groban firmly on the map of popular music.
So not just like critical acclaim.
Right.
But like
huge commercial success right out of the gate.
Commercial success right away. Yeah, the podcast episode mentioned that critics were impressed by the emotional depth of the album, which seems to be like a recurring theme in Groban's work.
Right.
But did his classical training influence the album's sound?
Absolutely. Groban seamlessly blends pop sensibilities with his classical technique. You hear it in his vocal control, his phrasing, even his choice of arrangements.
Yeah.
It's a sound that's both familiar and unique, which I think contributes to his widespread appeal.
So he has this hugely successful debut album, but then he follows it up with Closer in 2003. So did this album continue his trajectory, or did he experience the dreaded sophomore slump?
Closer actually solidified his position in the music world.
Okay.
It featured more hits like You're Still You and Remember When It Rained, showcasing Groban's ability to connect with audiences through heartfelt lyrics and powerful vocals.
And then the collaborations start rolling in. Barbra Streisand, Sarah Brightman, Placido Domingo.
The greats.
What's it like for a relatively new artist to suddenly be working with these, like...
I think it speaks volumes about the respect that
huge
figures he earned within the industry. These aren't just like random collaborations. These are legends who recognized his talent and wanted to create music with him.
Well, you wouldn't necessarily associate someone like Josh Groban, or like Barbra Streisand or Placido Domingo.
Right.
Like their styles are so different.
Right.
You know.
That's what makes it so compelling. Groban's versatility allows him to seamlessly move between genres and hold his own alongside some of the most powerful voices in music history.
And it seems like through all this, he's maintained this like reputation for being incredibly down to earth.
Yeah.
The podcast episode highlighted his humor, his humility, and his strong connection with family and friends.
You know, it's clear that despite his fame, Groban remains grounded and focused on what truly matters, He doesn't let the trappings of success overshadow his personal values.
And speaking of values, we can't overlook his commitment to philanthropy.
Right.
The Find Your Light Foundation, dedicated to supporting arts education.
I love that.
Seems particularly poignant given his own journey.
Absolutely. Having experienced the transformative power of music and theater firsthand, He's passionate about ensuring that other young people, regardless of their background, have access to those same opportunities.
It's a beautiful way to give back.
Yeah.
But let's shift gears a bit and talk about his legacy.
Okay.
Over 25 million records, sold multiple Grammy nominations. That's a pretty impressive track record.
Yeah.
But what do those numbers really tell us about his lasting impact on the music world?
It's more than just the numbers. It's about the authenticity. He brings to his music the genuine connection he forges with his audience and the way he uses his platform to inspire and uplift others.
That's a good point. It's like that ability to connect on an emotional level.
Yes.
That really sets him apart when you listen to his music. You feel like he's singing directly to you.
Right.
Sharing his own experiences and inviting you to experience them alongside him.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what resonates with people. It's not just about the technical skill. It's about the heart, the vulnerability, the willingness to share those raw emotions through music.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
From Shy Kid to singing with Celine Dion, from platinum albums to philanthropic endeavors. There's a lot to admire about Josh Groban's career. But what about the man behind the music?
Yeah.
What stands out to you as particularly remarkable about his journey?
I think what's most remarkable is that he never seems to have lost sight of who he is.
Yeah.
He's achieved incredible success, but remains grounded, approachable, and genuinely passionate about his craft.
Yeah. You can really sense that authenticity in his music and his interactions with fans.
Yeah.
It's like he's never forgotten where he came from, that shy kid who found his voice through music.
Right.
Speaking of which, the podcast episode mentioned his sense of humor.
Oh, yeah.
Seems like he doesn't take himself too seriously.
That's right. There's a playfulness, a willingness to poke fun at himself that makes him even more relatable. It humanizes him and breaks down that barrier between superstar and everyday person.
So for someone listening who might be familiar with like Groban's popular hits, but hasn't really explored his work beyond that.
Yeah.
Where would you suggest they start?
I think his debut album is a great place to begin.
Okay.
It captures that early magic, that blend of classical and pop that became his signature sound, but I'd also encourage listeners to explore his collaborations.
Yeah.
They highlight his versatility and show how he can adapt his style to different genres and artists.
That's a good point. The collaborations are really a testament to his range.
Yeah.
And his ability to, hold his own alongside some of the biggest names in music.
Absolutely.
Like, he's not afraid to step outside of his comfort zone.
Yeah.
And try new things.
Right. And for someone who started out shy, that's pretty inspiring.
Yeah, it is.
I think his journey reminds us that, even if we don't see ourselves in the spotlight, our passions and talents can lead us to unexpected and extraordinary places. It's about embracing those passions, nurturing those talents, and being open to the possibilities that life throws our way.
Beautifully said. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in our deep dive into the world of Josh Groban.
Yeah, we have.
From his shy beginnings to his global success, from his powerful vocals to his philanthropic endeavors. It's been a fascinating journey.
It really has, and it leaves us with a lot to ponder,
Yeah.
The power of music, the importance of mentorship, the impact of staying true to yourself. There are so many valuable lessons we can glean from his story.
Absolutely. And if you're listening and feeling inspired, maybe give Groban's music another listen. Explore his collaborations. Or even dust off that old instrument you've been neglecting. You never know what hidden talents you might rediscover.
Or what unexpected opportunities might come knocking, just like they did for a young, shy kid from LA named Josh Groban.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It was fun.
We'll catch you next time for another fascinating exploration into someone's story.